Hey everyone, George here. So today I've got something in the way of tax credits again, which is, the best thing you can have, a tax credit. So starting in 2026, the IRS actually made one of these credits permanent, and this will help a lot with your teams, your recruiting, your retention. A good tip on how to cash flow yourself with respect to this. So, a lot to cover, so let's get started. So what we're talking about today is the employer credit for paid family or medical leave. And we're gonna go over all the changes that were made effective for 2026. So what this is a 25% credit. The IRS gives you up to 25% credit for wages paid for employees when they take time off for family or medical leave. So when would you qualify for the credit? Number one, if you took time off for a newborn, if you took time off for medical recovery, or to care for a family member. This credit was temporary. Congress kept kicking the can down the road 1 year at a time as to when it was going to expire. But finally in 2026 with the OBBB, they've made it permanent. So what are the changes for 2026? Is number one, it becomes a permanent credit. So there's no more skepticism in terms of, is it worth doing it? Implementing a new policy at my company, if it's going to expire next year and I have to roll back the policy, it looks awkward. None of that. So now it's permanent. So that's great. So if you did want to go ahead and roll out this policy, you could certainly do that. And number two, there's now two ways that you could actually get this credit. Prior to 2026, the only way you could get it is on wages that you pay for an employee when they are on paid leave, meaning, it's on wages that you're paying them when they're not working. So, however, now there's a second way to claim it. You could actually get a paid family leave insurance policy that you pay every month. So it's a nice cash flow hack in that it doesn't hurt your wallet every time you actually have to pay an employee for not being at work. Now you can actually get even out the cash flows by getting an insurance policy that covers the wages for when they do take off. So that way you kind of even out the cash flow every month. You pay for the policy, on a monthly basis. And the IRS now, the second way they allow you to claim the credit is against the premium of the policy that you're, paying for every month. So again, paid leave insurance, if it's not something you've looked into, it's definitely something to research. It exists out there, these policies, and they cover wages for employees when they are on paid family or medical leave. And again, the IRS allows you to take that 12.5 to 25% credit against the policy premiums that you're paying. So that is definitely a nice cash flow hack in that you can actually have this thing covered on a month-to-month basis along with your other insurance policies, and offer this benefit to your employees, because like we all know that retaining good employees, especially as you're scaling, is a significant challenge. So definitely as you're recruiting, as you're trying to retain good employees, this is definitely a policy that you can roll out, possibly get that insurance premium for, get the tax credit for it, and definitely highlight it to your employees and new oncomers that this is something your company offers after so many years of service. Now, what allows you to get the full 25% credit versus the 12.5% credit? So it is a credit that ranges between 12.5 to 25% of wages. So if you cover 50% of wages while your employee is on leave, then you get the 12.5% credit. However, if you cover 100% of wages while your employee is on leave, then you get the 25% credit, and everything in between. So if you cover 75% of wages while they're on leave, you get 18.75% credit. That's if you're paying them straight while they are on leave. However, if you're paying the insurance policy, again, the IRS looks at what percentage of wages the policy covers. If it covers 100% of wages while they're on leave, then they'll give you the full 25% credit. If it covers 50%, they'll give you the 12.5% credit. Unfortunately, if you pay them less than the 50%, they won't give you any credit. So you want to keep it between 50 to 100% of wages while they're on leave. So the most typical policy coverage duration that I've seen is there's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and 8 weeks. 4 weeks is usually for like small employers. 6 weeks is that middle range, and most places offer this. 8 weeks is, very generous, and it's still very reasonable. You can also tie the benefits to, their actual tenure with your business. For example, if, they get no paid time off, if they've only been with you for 1 year, at 2 years, they get 2 weeks off. At 3 years, they get 4 weeks off. At 4 years, they get 6 weeks off, and so on. So that's another way to incentivize, people to stay with you for longer periods of time, like good people. But other common industry trends I've seen is, 1 year of service to be eligible at all. There's usually an hours requirement, which is 1,250 hours in the last 12 months to actually be eligible. That would equate to about 24 hours per week. So even, that way part-time people can qualify. And usually you want to have some sort of a medical certification requirement where, they're required to provide you a doctor's note saying the duration that, they should be on leave. This would protect the employer legally. So you should definitely have that in the policy. So definitely, as you're growing and scaling your business, this is something you're definitely going to want to consider, is this paid family medical leave and the tax credit that comes with it. With the insurance policy and everything, it could, net cash flow wise, it shouldn't cost you too much, like after the tax credit and all that. And it definitely will be a good recruitment and retention tool for your business. So I hope you found this helpful. Click like, subscribe, turn on notifications for any updates, and hope to see you in the next one.